Hello, I'm Matthew Kahn. I'm a professor at the University of Southern California, and I'm delighted to give this brief, and this time I will stick within the time limit, this brief talk about the energy transition and local governance. I will bring this to the United States. All countries are going to have to wrestle with some of these issues, but the United States is known for that states and local governments are very powerful. Of course, there's federal rules, but there's very interesting interplay between federal government in the United States and state and local government. And when I think about the energy transition, we both need in the United States, coal is on the ropes at power plants. Natural gas is still big, and the fracking revolution has played a role there. There's a question of how we fully unleash the potential of wind and solar. These are land-intensive activities, and you probably want to engage in wind and solar where it's sunny and windy. And if that's in the middle of nowhere, you're going to have to site these activities there. There's a question of who owns that land. Is that public land? Who owns it? Where is it? And then there's issues of transmission capacity. I think there hasn't been enough work in energy economics on the geography of transmission cables. There's these awkward issues of NIMBY, not in my backyard. I am a fan of the coast theorem. There's very interesting issues of if there's some windy place in Texas, how do we finance and build wind turbines in that place? And then how do you get that power from that rural West Texas place to the cities? What transmission capacity needs to be built up, and through whose backyard are those things going to go? At what cost is it to bury those things? Has Elon Musk figured out ways to cheaply get from wind farms and solar farms is the cost of transmission capacity going down, both in terms of engineering, but an interesting question is governance, local governance. What is the red tape and the paperwork one has to go through to get power from a wind farm or solar farm to the urbanites who consume it? There's very interesting questions of whether environmentalist communities, like in the Berkeley, Californias, let me back up. In my own research, I've documented that we see an interesting fact that in liberal progressive environmental communities like Berkeley, California, it's very difficult to build new housing. Environmentalists are educated, sophisticated, and know how to use the court system to block things they don't want to do. Liberal cities are some of the epicenters of NIMBYism. Are we going to see the same thing with the nascent green power revolution? Are we going to see all these lawsuits, perhaps filed to protect turtles, perhaps filed under the Endangered Species Act to slow down green power interests? And while there could be good intentions here, I worry as an environmentalist, and I think Greta Thunberg should worry in terms of the low carbon agenda, is an unintended consequence of local environmentalism to protect the turtles, to protect parks, to protect a Meryl Streep who doesn't want some magnetic wire close to her property. Are we going to see this rise in lawsuits blocking transmission capacity? And if that's the case, I predict we're going to see some interesting urban economics, that we're going to see more wind farms built out in the oceans, because that way you avoid these NIMBY issues because the oceans are common property. But in that case, are marine biologists going to complain and sue, saying that these wind turbines are bugging creatures in the water? And so there's no free lunch here. There's a key piece of economics. When we build this green economy, what is the geography of it? And what currently is sitting on those areas? Are there turtles in Arizona? Are there whales somewhere off the coast of California? Are there Kennedys in Kennebunkport in Maine? I think that's where the bushes are. And so are we going to see this growth in lawsuits? And to my friends in Asia and Europe, is this just a US thing? Are people in the United States really litigious, if I could use a big word? Will we see similar land use concerns in Europe, in India, in Asia, or is this a US thing? It is my hope that those governments that show that they're willing to build solar farms and wind turbines, that they experience economic growth. Because I'm always interested in the green guinea pig effect. For those local governments who show a willingness to get things done, and where the local leaders use their clout to stop the frivolous lawsuits and to encourage these projects to get done, will we see those areas boom with the boom of the green economy, of economic growth with lower environmental consequences? And so I think the environmentalist community is going to have to pick its poison. That doesn't sound great. There will be costs of allowing the local green economy to go forward. Will we see environmental lawyers suing, or will the climate change issue take precedent here, and we will see communities not suing and allowing wind turbines and solar farms to be built? As a free market environmentalist, I'm hoping that market forces will drive this. Of course, when there are negative externalities associated with wind turbines, of concerns of chopping up birds, solar panels burning turtles, precautions can be taken to protect these creatures. But I think that this legal issue is very important here, because we have many cases in the United States, in cities ranging from Seattle to Boston to San Francisco to Portland to Santa Monica near me in Los Angeles, that in progressive educated cities, the lawyers come out and exploit local government rules to slow down change. This has contributed to homelessness in many progressive cities. And I worry that it's actually going to slow down the green economy because of this transmission issue. I'm eager to work on this. In wrapping up, because I need this time to stay within my time limits, I am selling my new book, Adapting to Climate Change. And in the back chapter of this Yale Press book, I talk at length about what are new rules of the game that we will need to both adapt to climate change and to reduce our carbon footprint. And a legal culture that is less litigious is part of the equation.